Hey, Forge fans, it is the Forge Audio Network. This is Match Day Preview, and it's not just any match day, it is a playoff match day. The most anticipated matchup of the week, Saturday at 5 o'clock. Cavalry FC hosting your Forge FC at Atco Field on the grounds of Spruce Meadows in Foothills County. And on the rarest of rare occasions, Forge FC goes into a playoff match as the underdog. Cavalry, the regular season champions, looking to get over, let's say, slay the dragon. Let's use that term because it kind of fits with the Forge branding a little bit. But Cavalry with some looking to exercise some demons, and the demons that's the Forge lineup, because Cavalry, the best regular season club in CPL history, hands down. It's not even close. However, that has not translated to a single championship. Forge has 3 of them in 4 tries, and they've made the finals all 4 years this league has been in existence. So this is a huge match for both clubs, but for Cavalry, it's an opportunity to exercise those demons, slay the dragon, whatever you can, whatever you want to use. By the way, I will say, I don't know if you can hear it, a little under the weather this week. There was a point in my life, I would literally go years and years and years with never getting sick, ever. The second I started having a nephew, 2 nieces, let me tell you, not a moment goes, I look at them and I get sick. And that's just the reality. But I feel like everyone kind of has something right now. So I'm not looking for sympathy. This is more of an excuse if the performance during this episode is not up to par. That is going to be the excuse that I'm a little under the weather. There will be no excuses this weekend, though. That's my transition. Forge, they did lose the battle last Saturday, losing at home to Ottawa in the season finale, but it didn't matter because they got the result they wanted in the standings, and that is a top 2 finish. The part that we've been talking all season long. The one thing I forgot, I didn't forget, I didn't actually know. I didn't realize it, at least till someone pointed it out last match. You talk about the importance of finishing in the top 2. We know what it means in terms of the playoff format and getting that 1v2 game. Winner goes to host the final, loser goes to the semifinal and gets to keep playing. You're all aware of that. But the interesting wrinkle in this, how bizarre is this? And I do want to warn people. I know how much you dislike Cavalry. I know how much a lot of you hate Cavalry FC. This is not going to be one of those episodes where we bash Cavalry, because quite frankly, there's not a lot to bash. Cavalry is a very good team who had a very good season. What's most impressive, perhaps, is the consistency. Cavalry finished they had clinched first overall with, a couple weeks remaining in the season, and that did not slow them down. I think that's to be able to get up and motivated to just keep winning after you've clinched first overall and clinched the regular season trophy, and then to still and beating teams that have to win because they first playoff seeding for getting into the playoffs. In Pacific's case, in that finale, Pacific playing at Cavalry, Pacific had a chance. If Pacific had won that match, they would have finished in second place. But instead it was Forge, because Cavalry, despite having nothing really to play for, they come out and they just absolutely dominate Pacific at home, and they blow them out. Pacific had a lot to play for, and they got blown out in Calgary. So Cavalry is listen, this is the playoffs, and you're playing the first place team. You can't expect anything different than a very tough matchup. But I just wanted to give you the warning that if you hate hearing positive things about Cavalry, this might not be the episode for you. But I have to give it to you like it is. I have to give it to you straight. But back to the seeding for a second. Here's what's crazy. If, in fact, Forge, for whatever reason, let's say they don't make it to the final, but Cavalry does. you will all have to cheer for Cavalry FC no matter who they play. Why? The second place team in the regular season, we're talking about now, let's talk about the CONCACAF making the Champions League next year. So the rules are the winner of the regular season gets an automatic spot in CONCACAF. The CPL champion, automatic spot in CONCACAF. But what happens when the same team does both? We know Cavalry already has a spot in CONCACAF next year. If they win the championship, they don't get another spot. That would make no sense. Instead, the other CONCACAF seed goes to the second place team in the regular season. That would be Forge FC. So if Forge is not in the final, or even if they play Cavalry in the final, you want Forge to win the championship, but either way, they're going to get a CONCACAF spot. And if Forge does not make it to the final, you have no choice. You have to cheer for Cavalry because that will give Forge a spot in CONCACAF next year. Very interesting scenario hitting us in the face in the next couple of weeks. It should be interesting to follow. I don't recommend you get a Cavalry, jersey or hat. I mean, that would be, you would be just shunned from the Forge family, rightfully so. But you'd have to, under your breath or in your mind, kind of cheer for them. If that's the scenario, hopefully it's not. And hopefully Forge wins this weekend because they would host another CPL final at Tim Hortons Field is exactly what we need. It's what's missing. The only thing this club has not accomplished is winning a championship at home. And so an opportunity for that, if they can host a playoff game, it would be because they beat Cavalry this weekend. The best home record in the league, that is Cavalry. And again, it is not even remotely close. Cavalry have played 14 matches at home this year. They've lost once in 14 home matches this year. The last time they lost, that one loss this year, was all the way back on July 12th. That is how long it's been since Cavalry has lost at home. They are a very good home team, and they will be at home this weekend. Of course, Forge FC, a very good away team. The second best away record in the CPL, 14 tries, 7 wins, 2 draws, and 5 losses. Now, head-to-head, Forge with the advantage, as you are well aware by now, for how good Cavalry has been in the regular season. We've mentioned it. It's been all Forge in the playoffs. But in total, the two clubs have played each other 24 times. Forge winning 10, Cavalry winning 7, and 7 draws. This year, though, Forge, they have not beaten Cavalry FC yet. It's been very close, though. For as dominant as Cavalry has been this year, these two clubs have played in some close matchups. The one anomaly being a 3-0 win for Cavalry at home back on August 4th. The other 3 matches this year between the two clubs, all draws. 2-2, 1-1, scoreless. So we're expecting a tight one this week as well. Cavalry, no losses against Forge in their last 4. I think that's been spelled out. They played each other 4 times this year. And Cavalry so far unbeaten with 3 draws in there. And coming into this match, Cavalry, they're hot. They're hot. 5 wins in a row. They haven't lost in their last 9. Yeah, it's been, 2.5 months since Cavalry has lost. And we need, you know what we need? I should have filled you in at the start of the broadcast, but we're going to have 2 guests for this match day preview. In a bit, you're going to hear from Todd Saeloff from the Calgary Sun and Herald. He's the sports editor and columnist, and he's been covering Cavalry for years. And he's going to join us, and we'll get a clearer picture of what is going on out the way west of where we are right now. But coming up now, who better to give us insight into Forge FC than a Forge FC player? He has come on very strong this year, took a gigantic step forward, and not just because he has very long strides. Fullback standout this year for Forge FC, Kwasi Poku, his second season with Forge FC, and he will hop on to the match day preview now. So Kwasi, welcome to the match day preview. Big one coming up this weekend. What does the preparation look like ahead of a playoff matchup? Is it the same as a regular season matchup, or are there just maybe a few more wrinkles in the preparation heading into a big matchup like this?
Yeah, I feel like for us, it's always been the same and always stays the same. But I feel like we add that little bit of edge and intensity in training and that urgency that you need for playoff football.
It looks like you took a big step forward this year in your game. Does it feel like you've just progressed in kind of rounding out your pro game?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like this year I focused a lot on the small details and the little things that were holding me back from, reaching my full potential and allowing me to just be free and, you know, enjoy myself there on the field and play my best. So, yeah.
How much of the growth revolves around the tactical side of things? 'Cause I'd imagine as a pro athlete, a lot of what you're doing is instinctual, but also the challenging part for any young player playing as a pro is that tactical demand. And Bobby makes no mistake that there is a tactical demand on his players. There's a system in place. You can't just fall back on your skill set all the time. Do the tactics, do they slowly become second nature as you gain experience?
Yeah, it's becoming, it's always really fresh in my mind. Bobby is a great coach, and he's always reminding us of our tactics. We're always doing video, focusing on it in training, especially before a match. So I feel like the tactical part has really helped me elevate my game.
How important has it been for you? You look at the squad last year and the squad this year, and a lot of returning faces. So as you make friends and get comfortable at this level, how important has that been for you to be able to grow with your teammates and guys that you've gotten really close to?
Yeah, the team has barely changed since last year, so it's been really easy to gel this year. I mean, in professional football, you're not always sure if you're going to be on the same team or have the same teammates, but it's been a blessing this year to have a similar group and not have that initial lack of chemistry. We all know each other, we all know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and it was just really good to have the same group.
Can you talk a bit about your opponents this weekend? We know what they accomplished in the regular season, but they've always had that one last final hurdle, and it's always been Forge. So when you look at the tape, though, what is it that Cavalry has done this year that has really kind of separated them from the pack?
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about their tactics, but obviously they're a very good team, and we're aware of some of their strengths and we're aware of some of their weaknesses, and we've been working to exploit those things. Um, I feel like one thing they really bring to the game, especially at home, is energy. And, you know, knowing that we're Forge and that they're Cavalry. Like you said, in the playoffs, they haven't had the best success against us, and this is a grudge match for them. And we need to come with that same intensity despite being away, despite not being the first place team. We need to come in the same way that we always do against them and look for a win.
And it has to be a great feeling knowing that you're one win away from potentially hosting a CPL final. So that there's certainly a lot at stake.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Kwasi, listen, great year for you, great year for the squad, and plenty more work to do. Thanks so much for joining, and we look forward to watching you guys this weekend.
Thank you so much.
All right, you heard from Kwasi. Now let's flip things around a little bit and head to Calgary. Todd Saeloff, Calgary Sun, Calgary Herald sports editor and columnist. He covers the club regularly, has for years, and he joins us once again on the match day preview. Well, Todd, it's been an interesting season, especially I guess on both ends. But for Cavalry, I guess after a slowish start, they really just ran away with the regular season title. What is it, in your estimation, that really separated Cavalry from the pack this year?
I'm going to say, and I know I've thought this in the past with the club in terms of just having the kind of talent that they've had, but they've got unbelievable talent this year, especially when it comes to attacking. And the only part of their game, which was lax in the beginning, was their defensive back line. And honestly, that shifted hard and fast. They just kept on keeping on, made little personnel tweaks here and there, got a couple guys back from injury, and it's just changed the way that they've solidified themselves defensively. It was a big turnaround from that end of the field.
Are there specific players that maybe caught you or the fans or even the club off guard this year in terms of just how well they performed?
Well, I think number one, you have to say Dan Klomp, who's been moved to the center back position from the outside back, and he picked it up like nobody's business. I mean, this team has been pretty good on the back end since the inception of it back in 2019, and veterans like Mason Traffer's no longer there, and Karifa Yao, who was fantastic the last 2 years, not there this year. And so Dan Klomp is all of a sudden the guy, and nobody knows what he's going to do, but he's proven to be such a valuable commodity, and dare we say around here, the MVP of the league, the way things are going. It's quite possible that he could pick up that honor. So that's how good he's been. That he can not only be a part of that conversation, but in some people's eyes, the legitimate guy to be that guy.
Right.
He's number one for sure. Others, Eric Kobsa has come out of the University of Calgary. He started at midfield. I think that's generally where he's played most of his career. They pushed him back in the defensive zone to be back there with Kobsa, and he's just played off him so well. And he's such a smart young kid, and he still is young. That he's young enough that I think he's 22 now or 21, that he is just done a phenomenal job fitting in with this club. So those two, newcomer Callum Montgomery has stepped in defensively as well, and he was injured for the first part of the year. It just has worked to their benefit, the way these three in particular have come about. And then they picked up Bradley Camden, and he, a veteran out there who's played a lot of international football, and he came along, and he also has played a ton of minutes since he's come here, and really stepped in kind of on the outside of that back line and done such a wonderful job.
Cavalry's been so good at home this year, and it always had a very strong supporter group. The fans have always shown up. But have you noticed maybe just a slight tick or spike or just uplift in support with just how well the club has played? Is there a growing sense of pride among Cavalry supporters?
I think there is. We were talking about that yesterday at the partners lunch, a few of us, and a lot of people said, yeah, they started winning, so people started coming. Well, they've always been winning, so I don't know that really makes a lot of sense. I think there's been a growing curiosity about this team in this city for a long time, myself included, where you weren't sure if they were going to, what was this when they first came in the league? And then, weren't sure, well, they're winning. Maybe we should get down and check it out. And then suddenly you're hearing, well, the brand of soccer is outstanding, so let's check it out. And then you hear all about, well, the facility, you got to see the facility. It's goofy. It's unique. It's wonderful. It's special. You get down there and check it out. So I think that more than anything has prompted people to start going a little more often. And also, maybe the affordability of it. Given the fact there's so many different sports to take in Calgary now, your sports mind is going to want to go this place and this place and this place, but in this economy, you can't do that. Maybe you got to pick one or the other. Maybe you say, you know what, I'm going to go to a Cavalry game, check it out. Maybe I'll go to a Stamps game and check it out. Maybe I'm not going to a Flames game this year. It's too expensive. I don't know. You can't get in the mind of everybody in the city when you talk about that kind of thing. But definitely, I would say curiosity and what this team is bringing to the field, the excitement of it, is kind of got people ramped up in this city to come out and check it out. And then they come again and they bring a friend.
Right. And does it seem like Forge is kind of that last major hurdle? I mean, Cavalry, the just hands down the greatest regular season club this league has ever seen. Do you get a sense from even the players, coaches, have they talked about just how important it is to kind of get over that final Forge speed bump, I guess we'll call it?
Some of them don't want to talk about it,
Right.
and that's understandable. Some of them say it's just another game, and whether they're being honest or not, I would say more than likely they're not being completely honest. They're it's a way of them coping with the mechanism, with the nemesis that is Forge. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They have problems with Forge in the clutch, and I think others, such as Captain Marco Carducci, he said, yeah, we know what we're up against, and we got to fix it, and we got to fix it now. This is the time to fix it. They say that a lot, but this year, I think they got the horses to back it up. So we'll see what happens. And I mean, you tell me, is Forge the same team that they were the last 2, 3, 4 years?
The same team on paper, I can tell you that much. And you wonder how much of it is, how much has the rest of the league kind of caught up a little bit? You know, you're playing the same teams over again. And as a coach, sometimes it's on you to change things up a little bit, surprise the other club as much as you can. But with these two teams, I mean, they played and these two coaches, they know each other so well. I don't know how you pull any more surprises out.
No, but the thing is with these two coaches is they're both so wise to strategy and wise to game planning that that they've each got a wrinkle up their sleeve, and they've probably got more than one wrinkle. They probably have 4 or 5 that they're going to throw out there and say, you know what, we're going to make this happen when we need it. We're going to pull it out of the hat, and you try and stop us. And that's the best part about the Forge Cavalry matchup, the rivalry, is the fact that there are so many wrinkles and there is so much excitement, and then they get mad at each other, and then everything blows up, and then there's fireworks, and then it's a lot of fun, and it's just good. It's good soccer.
Yeah.
It's good sport. It's good theater.
Yeah, I think we're in for a good one. Also, this might not be the only time they play in the playoffs, because there's a good chance they might end up meeting in the final at some point as well. Todd, always accommodating, always a great interview. I always appreciate you taking the time.
Well, you know what? I did want to say that I think you need to rewind the tape from our last visit, because I did mention something towards the end of it about Valor maybe being higher than they were at the time, and they were going to fall flat on their feet. I that club, I
There's
don't know.
something, yeah.
I wish them the best, but they haven't got FC Edmonton around anymore to land on a soft spot, and for them to fall like they did, that's tough.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that I thought that was kind of funny when we were talking about that. So, but
Yeah.
I appreciate Anthony, and we should be in for some again good theater here in the next. Like you say, maybe it's a sort of back-to-back, a pseudo back-to-back, the way it should be in this CPL final. I think it should be a 2-game total goal. So
That's fair.
like it was first year.
Yeah. All
Thanks.
right. Yeah. No, thank you. It's been great, and enjoy the match.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
All right. I think we got everything we need to go into this match. We're ready. You're ready. The only thing we're missing now are the keys. 3 keys to the match for Forge FC. Key number 1 for Forge: own the middle. Playoff games, they are won and lost in the middle of the pitch. Against a team like Cavalry, who's played on the front foot all season, Forge's elite midfield will have to take control of the match. It's just, it will be up to the mid. Most matches come down to the midfield, but especially these playoff ones. And so Forge's midfield, they'll be busy, but that's okay, because that's how they like it. It's why they're elite. It's why they're experienced. Now, with the ball, they have to play confident. They have to be decisive and take what's given to them. Without the ball, it's about being aggressive, moving quickly to close the gaps, and pressing the Cavalry midfield to disrupt the build. Forge has to own the middle. Key number 2 for Forge FC: cautious commitment. This is a match between the top 2 clubs in the CPL, so no one's expecting things to be easy. So when I talk about aggressive play defensively, there's a caveat. Knowing when to be aggressive and when to stay disciplined and maintain your shape. You cannot be running out of position either to make challenges and to win balls. This is just where you trust your guys. decision-making in big moments in big games. This is why experience is so valuable, and Forge has it in spades. They will have to cautiously commit in their defending. Key number 3 for Forge FC, clean counter. I love a clean counter, but that's not what we're talking about. Very rarely is Forge a club that dominates possession week in, week out, in a position where they just have to accept the fact that the opposition, they're going to get extended tacking time. They're just going to. Cavalry, they're the number 1 seed for a reason. Plus, they're at home. Forge is going to have to prepare to defend. And how about using Cavalry's aggressiveness against them with quick counters? The second the ball changes possession, Forge should have opportunities to quickly flip the field. When you show an effective counter, too, here's the flip side. It can start messing with your opponents, right? They start getting a little more conservative. Maybe they're afraid to turn the ball over now. Quick counter. Forge is going to have the opportunity to do so, and I would imagine that is going to be part of the game plan this weekend. That's it. We've given you, there's nothing left to talk about. The match needs to be played. Forge, Cavalry, what's on the line? Oh, I don't know. Just a home CPL final match on the line. The winner gets that this weekend. It's at 5 o'clock. It's on Saturday. The second you hear that final whistle, head on over to the Forge FC YouTube channel, and I will be there live to give you an instant recap. And hopefully we are already starting to prepare for a CPL final at Tim Hortons Field. Until then, keep it locked onto the Forge Audio Network. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts as well, because daily you're getting stuff from us all the time, and you don't want to miss any of it. So make sure you subscribe, and make sure you have your head on a swivel, because stuff's dropping all the time, and you're probably missing something right now by not subscribing. Okay, until Saturday, enjoy your time. Don't get too nervous. Stay calm. Everything's under control. Things will be just fine. I hope I put your nerves at ease. But, despite all of the talking about Cavalry and how good they are, I think we should also keep in mind that Forge has been here so many times, and they've played against this club a lot of times too, and they've won a lot of big games in Foothills County. So it should be exciting. And we'll have to see how things play out. Okay, we will talk to you very, very soon.